Hi everybody, welcome to the Starting Five here on HMTV6. I'm Mark Keller, sports editor of the Herald-Mail newspaper. Joined this segment by Bob Parsoletti, sports writer for the Herald-Mail. We're going to be talking about the Hagerstown Suns this segment, a subject that Bob knows a lot about, covered the team for about 25 years for us for the Herald-Mail. And Bob, we're going to start with good news for the Suns. 6 players named to the South Atlantic League All-Star team. They'll be joined by manager Trip Keister and pitching coach Franklin Bravo as well. They'll represent the Suns in the game June 18th in Lakewood, New Jersey. The pitchers for the Suns that'll be representing them: Robert Benacasa, Dixon Anderson, Ivan Pinheiro, catcher Pedro Severino, outfielder Brandon Miller, and infielder Tony Renda. And Bob, let's talk about this. We talked last week a little bit about the Suns and the idea that they've been very much a team this year, and not so much, based on individual stars or individual performances. We thought maybe they would only get 2 players on the All-Star team. Here they end up with 6 players.
Well, part of the thing that went into their side was they're in first place. Second thing was it's only 8 teams to draw from, so when you're trying to get 25 players, that kind of helped them. I think that combined with, according to coach or manager Trip Keister, he was talking about how a lot of people really like the way this team plays, and that's their biggest thing. They play well together, and I think the ability to work well together has helped them in a way that's a little different than a way of looking at All-Stars.
Yeah, well, let's kind of go through those players who are going to be there in the All-Star game. Let's start with the pitchers. 3 of them going from Hagerstown: Robert Benacasa, Dixon Anderson, Ivan Pinheiro. We talked early in the season about the roles really not being defined for the pitching staff. Now we're 2 months into the season. Have those roles taken shape a little bit more?
It's kind of a strange team because they keep moving guys around. Guys get hurt and go down the disabled list, and they move up and down in the system. They're starting to stretch out. Benacasa falls in a situation where he's kind of the closer. I think they've used him in the first, probably about the first half or first 2/3 of the first half. He's been the closer, and he has 8 saves to show for it. And I think the 8 saves is the thing that made the impression for people to vote on him, because I don't think there's very many people that have more than that right now.
Right, and then Anderson and Pinheiro. Now, obviously Pinheiro a starter, and what has he been stretched out? Is he getting more innings now? And
a lot of them have been going about 6-7 innings. It just depends on the situation. They have pretty strict pitch count rules for these pitchers this year. A lot of them are very young. I think every one of these guys have never been on an All-Star team before. So it's kind of it's going to be an interesting dynamic for all these guys when they go. The whole situation and the whole scenario of being able to do this stuff. But for Pinheiro, he's kind of had to find his way a little bit, and he's starting to get a little more comfortable. There's some times when he gets, it seems like when he has trouble, it's early. As he goes, he seems to get stronger. As far as Dixon Anderson goes, he was the opening day starter, and if there's a thing such as an ace, he's it for the Suns. He's their #1 guy. They really look for him to do a lot of stuff when he's out on the mound and go places and really set his tone, and he does. Even though he's only 4-2, he really does control a game. But there's just times, especially on this level, when it drops off, and it drops off fast.
Yeah. Let's look at the offensive players, and actually we'll start at a defensive position with catcher, and that's Pedro Severino there. Not hitting a lot at .234, but it's really been his defense that's been outstanding, really made him an All-Star pick, right?
I think the main thing that happened that helped Severino is the starting catcher, Craig Manuel, was hurt. And so he had to play a lot. And it showed off his arm. He's down to like 49% of throwing base runners out or base stealers out, but he was really more successful earlier. I don't know if people just kind of timed him as they played him and got to him a little more, but he showed that we have a very explosive arm, and I think that's what got him onto he's made some timely hits, but I think the arm got him on the All-Star game.
A couple of the guys that a little more offensive inclined, we'll say, and that's infielder Tony Renda. Top prospect on the Suns this year, one of them drafted in the 2nd round last year. He's leading the team at batting average .297, 20 doubles, 26 RBIs. There were pretty big expectations for him this year. Is he living up to those expectations?
He was supposed to be the guy who was the leadoff hitter. He's been the #1 hitter in the batting order the entire year. And he's done a lot. I mean, he had 2 more doubles last night, so the total's up to 22 now. And he had 4 hits last night. And because of that, he scored 3 times. He got guys moving. And after the game, Trip Kester, the manager, said that he thought we'll go as far as he does. As long as he gets on, we're going to go places.
And then with Brandon Miller, the outfielder, Suns have 27 homers as a team this year. We talked about not really a power team, but he has 11 of those home runs now. Is this a problem for the Suns that they really have only that one kind of power bat in the lineup right now?
Well, yes and no. I mean, they create a lot. The thing that makes this team successful is the idea that they play situational ball well. In the old days, it was called money ball or small ball. Mm-hmm. They bunt. They know when to bunt. They're very good teammates. They do a lot of things on their own. Tripp says he doesn't have to call a lot of things because they know a lot of what to do and how to do it. And that's what's making this team good. They play good fundamental baseball. They get guys on base, they move them along, and then they play defense and pitch very well.
We've got about a minute left here. They've been on a recent slump and lost 6 of the last 7 on their road trip before they won at home last night. Now, despite that, they've stayed in first place. They've held off Hickory and West Virginia, I should say, 1 game ahead of them. Now, with 14 games left in the first half, what do they need to do to hold on to that first half title?
Just win.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's chasing you right now when you're 1 game ahead. As long Tripp said yesterday that as long as they play their game, have fun with what they're doing, and take care of their own business, they have every chance in the world of winning this thing. But the minute they start thinking about it and changing the way they're playing, they might have some problems.
Does the fact that they have West Virginia and Hickory both coming up here in the next week or so, does that put a little more pressure on them?
Well, I think they leave here on the weekend and play at West Virginia. Right now, they seem to be the hottest team going. I think what happened in this series that they just came off of when they get into the slump, they got into 2 teams that are kind of went against what they do successfully. They didn't allow them to get up in the lead early and let them work on things, and it worked against them. They're not a really great comeback team, but they're a lot better when they're out ahead.
Right. Well, the Suns will close out the homestand against Kannapolis Thursday night out at Municipal Stadium, and then they go on the road for a quick 4-game trip against West Virginia. So we'll have more with the Suns in coming weeks here. Tim Kelby will be here with Ryan Grable in the next segment. Come right back.